Hello, all you wonderful people over there in Denmark. I am so sorry that I can't be with you this May Day. I've spent most every May Day in Denmark for the past 20 years, except for, well, I guess now a few. Two for the pandemic that I missed, and one because of the SAS pilots going on strike, and one after my first child was born. But shit happens, but hope to see you guys sometime, maybe later in the year. We'll see. Next year anyway, for sure. I think we can say that. Although who knows? We'll have a new pandemic by then or something. But it's a pleasure to be participating remotely in this May Day event, although I would much rather be there in person. One of the roles that I play, I think, as a common performer at Danish May Day events is to remind people of how much stuff could really suck if you didn't have 80% of your population in a labor union. Like, you could look like this country. So this is a song that the Danes tend to appreciate. It's called Failed State. When you're working two jobs and living in a tent, when a house costs $1 million and you can't pay the rent, when politicians say they'll help but it keeps getting worse each time the landlord lobby pulls the strings of the purse, when the human right to housing isn't even part of the debate, you know you're living in a failed state. Citizens are spending half their lives locked up in a prison for trying to survive, when laws must be broken just to have a place to stay, when the prisons pay the senators to look the other way. If you have to be a criminal to put food upon your plate, you know you're living in a failed state. When you're facing climate breakdown, when the trees are all on fire, when half the country's underwater, when a climate change denier runs the nation, and the opposition party votes for oil rigs and pipelines, it's not so much a country as it is a corporation buckling under its weight, you know you're living in a failed state. When your nation is an empire facing daily blowback, and the only thing your leaders can think to do is attack, bipartisan consensus that we need to spend $700 billion before the year's end on a military budget to make America great, you know you're living in a failed state. Almost every day, some psycho with a gun has to open fire on a crowd before it's done. When a supermarket becomes a free fire zone, and all they can say is, it's okay now, he was acting alone. Buy some armor, pray to God, and hide behind a gate, you know you're living in a failed state. You know you're living in a failed state. You know you're living in a failed state. One of the folks that I've spent many different occasions with in Denmark and Sweden, in particular, is Anne Feeney, and a songwriter that I know some of the folks listening to this will have heard before, live and in recording. Her recordings are so good. She knew how to work with the band. And died a couple months ago at the age of 69 of COVID-19. I dreamed I saw Anne Feeney. It was on a picket line, somewhere in the world where the workers did combine. cheering on the strikers with a guitar in her hand, from Oregon to Ireland. I dreamed I saw Aunt Feeny amid the foggy dew of the flashbang grenades outside the WTO, singing songs against the war at a military fort, or making arguments in court. I dreamed I saw Aunt Feeny in the Texas hills, singing songs around a torch at Kerrville, crossing every bridge she could with the wheels of a car, with some CDs in the trunk, along with her guitar. I dreamed I saw Aunt Feeny. I dreamed she never fell. She was in Baja with her grandkids doing swell, sharing free advice on how to find the cheapest flight so you can be throwing Swedish snowballs beneath the northern lights. I dreamed I saw Aunt Feeny get her first dose of vaccine instead of reading of the people who died of COVID-19 in the New York Times. Nice things that they said, but I so much wish we could have and still hear instead. I dreamed I saw Aunt Feeny. And if I were there at May Day in Denmark, I would of course sing this song, which I've been told is a labor classic. And that's not for me to decide because I wrote it, so. But maybe it is, maybe it's not, but it's a song anyway. Gather round, all you workers, whether you have a job or not. You who pick the tomatoes, you who grow the pot, you raise the children, you that record the sound, you who flip the burgers, all you workers, gather round, all you workers, all of you who pull the shots, you who wash the dishes, park the cars in parking lots, you who dig the ditches to put the caskets in the ground, you who clean the bathrooms, all you workers, gather round. Gather round, all you workers, all of you who write the code, you who teach the children, you who pave the roads, you who run the freight trains wherever they be bound, you who drive the buses, workers, gather round, all you workers struggling to pay the rent, you who work a second job and wonder where all the time went, you there in the sleeping bag, shivering on the ground, in the houses, on the sidewalks, all you workers, gather round. point the cameras and write for the magazines. You who launch the missiles, you who fire from the ground, you who fly the helicopters, all you workers, gather round, gather round. All you workers, gather round, and you will know that gathered all together, we can vanquish any foe. As sure as we're made of water, so history has found. Workers have the power if all we workers gather round. It's been a pleasure spending a few minutes of May Day with y'all. I'll leave you with a brief little a cappella song. When the world has gone crazy and it's all becoming clear, when they're gunning down our comrades and it seems the end is near, as they're loading up the launchers for the tear gas grenades, we can take off our bandanas and kiss behind the barricades. When it's madness all around, and you can see this at a glance, we will sing and we will cry, we will laugh and we will dance, as they shout their marching orders beneath the helicopter blades. We shall seize the moment for a kiss behind the barricades. They will try to break our spirit, and at times they may succeed, but our love for the world is stronger than their greed. When the building is surrounded and hope begins to fade, in my final hour, a kiss behind the barricades. As the movement grows, there will be hills and bends, but at the center of the struggle are your lovers and your friends. And the more we hold each other up, the less we can be swayed. Here's to love and solidarity and a kiss behind the barricades. Tusen tack. See you soon.